Hi, and welcome to my daily tarot reading, using a tarot perspective to help you make the shift into 5D consciousness. So these are the cards that I pulled today. We got the Eight of Cups, the King of Cups, and the Justice card. So today we're going to talk about how to live from your own authority. And I'm going to start with the Justice card. So justice is normally thought of as something that has to do with courts. And in some tarot decks, the Justice card has been changed into an 8 instead of an 11. So 8 has to do with power and courts, but 11 is a much better number, I think, because 11 is the number of the idealist in numerology. And the idealist is a visionary. They think about what the world could be like. They have high ideals for what they feel justice actually is. So to me, justice has to do with doing what's right from an idealistic point of view. So how do we do that? The King of Cups tells us that we have to open our hearts. The King of Cups is always motivated by matters of the heart. He always sees the reality that he lives in from the lens of the heart. So the way to live in justice is to listen to your heart and learn to trust the heart. If the heart tells you that something is wrong, you don't do that. If the heart tells you that something is right, you do that. And it's not a moralistic kind of justice, because morals are imposed from the outside. It's not something that you feel is right from within. It is something that has been written in a book or told to you by a priest. And anything that comes from the outside is not part of your true nature. So this justice that I'm talking about has to do with listening to your heart and coming from a place where you trust what your heart feels, and that is your guidance system. If we go to the Eight of Cups here, we see a person that's walking away from something that they love because they feel like there's something better out there for them. So if you find yourself living in a situation where something doesn't feel right, you know that it isn't right, you're not going to just settle in that situation and say, oh, well, this is what it is. You're basically going to say, this really doesn't feel right. It doesn't work for me. I feel like I need to move on, even though there's still love here, even though I'm still attached to something in this situation, but I have to move on. And it takes a lot of strength and courage to move on. So what happens is when you open your heart and you start living from the heart, courage comes. That is one of the things that go with living with the heart. And this courage has to do with not listening to your mind so much. Letting the heart overrule the mind, which is a very unusual thing to do in a 3D situation. But this is what you have to do in 5D. You have to live from the heart and let the heart overrule the mind. Because you know that the heart knows the truth. The mind thinks it knows, but the heart really truly knows. Why is that? It's because your heart is the bridge between the reality that you live in here and a higher perspective. That's why I call it a guidance system. Your inner guidance will tell your heart what is right and what is not. And all you have to do is listen and have the courage to follow the inner guidance. So what happens when you live from your own authority? Well, one of the things that happens is that you don't care what other people think. That is also a 5D trait. When you don't feel concern anymore about other people judging you or other people's differing opinions, because you're doing what's right for you. You're living from your own authority. And that is a totally different story. And one of the things that comes with that is that you start feeling an immense amount of freedom because you are not accountable to anyone else. You are accountable only to your own heart. When you follow your heart, what you do will eventually benefit everyone in your life. What you normally see in 3D is that people will try to please each other because they want other people to please them. And what happens then is that nobody is actually authentic in the way they relate to each other. But when you follow your own heart, you are always authentic. You are always true to yourself. Anything less than following your own heart would be self-betrayal. And self-betrayal is probably the worst thing that you can do to yourself, because it leaves you feeling completely unloved when nobody else cares and not even you care. So you may wonder, why is it that people don't live from the heart naturally? The heart has never been something that society has put any value on because it is very unpredictable. You can't tell where the heart is going to take you. And the heart will most likely get you into trouble of some kind. And if you just follow your mind, you can avoid all of that. But the mind can never go higher than a certain level. And if you want to transition into 5D, you have to start following your heart, because the heart is a lot deeper and has more understanding than the mind. When we add up the numbers here, we get 8 plus 1, that's 9, plus 11, that's 20. And 20 has to do with the Judgment card. It's Judgment energy. Now what's the deal with the Judgment card? The deal is you have to make peace with the past, because you can't move forward unless you make peace with the past. So in 5D, we have to make peace with the past so that we can bring all our energy to the present. Because in 5D, it is always now. There is no past, there is no future, it is always now. We can plan for the future, but even when the future comes, it is still only going to be now. So living from the heart and making peace with the past and bringing your energy to the present is what it takes to go through this transition into 5D. So that was my 5D message for today. I hope you like it, and I hope to see you at the next video. Bye!